Hiya, welcome to part 17 of the SV650 rebuild. As I said before with these clocks from China, it was going to be a bit of a mammoth task. That's why I left the video halfway through on the last one. The wiring diagram is absolutely horrendous. I also bought some cheap automotive connectors as well, and they ended up being pants. So for the time being I'm just using cheap bullet connectors, and then I'll sort out something else and we'll use some proper automotive ones. For a little bit of respite from the electrics, I've fitted the bar end mirrors. They look quite nice, I must admit. Now I've actually made a proper schoolboy error here. I've gone and cut the plug off the main wiring loom instead of the one for the clocks. So the wires aren't actually long enough now. But thankfully the SV650 org came to the rescue, and I now have another loom that I can play around with thanks to Kirby Chris from Congleton. That doesn't sound quite right really, does it? But that's his username on the SV650 site. So I'm just watching a video now on how to rewire an SV650. Just remember, it's not a dark art. So work rang me and asked me if I'd work in the afternoon this one day, so I thought, well, yeah, alright then. I'll rewire the SV, seeing as I'm off for the morning and the boss isn't in. Little word of warning, just because it's an SV650 wiring loom that I've got hold of, doesn't mean to say it's going to be the same as the one that I've already got. The regulator rectifier wiring is completely different. So when my new soldering iron comes, I'll resolder it all up. Seeing as I've killed my old one now and it's just melted away. This is hard to explain, but when I looked at the wiring loom I thought, oh, all these plugs are separate here. So I'll have a nosy and see whether I don't have to do any soldering. So it was a case of stripping back all the factory stuff. And I noticed that I've only got one plug really and two wires that are different, so I think it's just going to be a case of taking this part of the loom off and fixing that back onto my bike, so good result. Now I was taking my time here because I wanted to just make sure that I did get everything right before I started cutting, because I don't want to cut things too short now, do I? I was just trying to work out here which wires I needed to cut, so plugged a few things in, looked at what sort of length wire I needed, and then I got my side cutters out basically and just cut a couple of wires. And then fit a new electrical connector to both ends of the old loom and the new loom. I've never got to grips with these funny electrical connecting pliers. I just can't get used to using them. I end up crushing everything or making a right mess. Didn't do too bad with this lot, to be honest. It worked quite well for once. I was just making sure that I got the wires in the correct orientation, should we say. Didn't want to fit it on backwards, so just give it a quick check. Right, black there, red there. Then fit the plug. And hey presto, it's all gone together. fingers crossed everything should be fine. I'm going to tidy all the wiring up, put my non-adhesive wiring tape around it, and hopefully make it look something like. And hopefully this will be okay, fingers crossed I can get on with what I was supposed to be doing in the first place, which is fitting this new bloody Speedo. Note to self, don't get all excited when you're going to fit new items because you end up making a mess and costing yourself a lot of time and effort for nout. All the wiring back on, put the old clocks back on just so I could check everything, make sure everything's working, and it looks like we're on a winning streak at last. It's only set me back about 2 weeks this, it's quite annoying to be honest. But as I said before, that's what happens when you start rushing and cutting things that you shouldn't be cutting. And hopefully the next video we'll be able to move on, get these Chinese things fitted, see what they look like, see if they work, more importantly, and then away to go, we'll start moving on. So that's all the wiring checked, tidied all the loom up as well. Now, in case I make a big mistake on the next one, I've got a spare as well, so that'll be alright. So it's just left for me to say thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next instalment. Fingers crossed, fitting a new Speedo.